Hi everyone, welcome to Beyond the Evidence. This is the channel where justice matters. My name is Marv. I am a true crime fanatic, and I love to dig deeper into the mysteries of unsolved cases. Join me as we search for missing persons, uncover the clues in unsolved murders, follow along with jury trials, and we'll be a voice for the voiceless. I'll share with you the facts, the theories, the clues, the evidence, and the controversies that surround these cases. This is Beyond the Evidence. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I am surviving on about an hour and a half sleep in the last 20 some odd hours. I'm doing my live early today. I'm going to do it on the morning session because I wasn't able to get into the afternoon session, but I have notes coming. But what you want to hear is all about this morning. Hang on, I'm getting a message to check Messenger. Okay, so I think we're on day 12. I don't know anymore. Everybody's messed up their days. I'm going with day 12 of the Richard Allen trial. Now, we know that this case is about two beautiful, smart girls, Abby and Libby. And on February 13th, 2017, they were unalived. Shouldn't have never happened. But this is all about them. This is what we're here for. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've been a little worried about this trial and the fact of there not being a whole lot of evidence against Richard Allen. But today, my hope and faith was restored. So, I'm going to start with saying hello to the first five. First of all, I have to thank Mustang 1965 is a new member of the channel. Thank you so much. And also sent a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate it. I want everybody to know that when I got home today, my cot tent, it's a cot with a tent over it, arrived today, and I'm so excited. So, Jill Mosier, you're just the person I wanted to see in chat today. I've got a couple questions for you. Mimi of 6, hi Marv, how you feeling today? Loopy, tired, and giggly. Andrea, check Messenger. Laura M, nice to see you. Linda, how are you? And then we have Maureen. Thank you for your dedication to the case, Marv. You are so welcome. As I said, there's a handful of us YouTubers that try to make it into court every day. When you have big testimony like today, it's very difficult to get into both sessions. Hello, Curious. How are you? like I said, it's very difficult to get into both sessions. I made it into this morning's sessions. I did not get into this afternoon, but don't worry. I've got an individual taking notes for me, and boy, are we going to be in for a treat tomorrow. So let's start out. Yes, Mustang. Justice for Abby and Libby. That is why we are here. Jill, you didn't do it, but I think you might have some answers for me. As I said, I think I got an hour and a half in the last. It's been over 20 hours. Since I didn't have to do since I couldn't get in the afternoon session, I did come home and get everything set up, do this live, and I'm probably going to sleep for at least 12 hours. I have sitters that are in line for me, holding my spot as we speak, and I have to thank them so much. I thank Stephen, Michelle. I know they're there, and we'll see what happens. This has been working out for other YouTubers. So I'm confident it will work for me tonight too, so that I can get some sleep. Big surprise today. We're all tired. We're packed up the cars because every night now, last night when we got court let out at 6:30, everybody started lining their chairs up immediately. So I jumped in line. Never left the courthouse. Spent the whole night, was there this morning, and then came home this afternoon. But as we were all lining up, waiting for the doors to open, up walks Nancy Grace. It was amazing. I know that she rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but I like her. She's shoots straight, tells you like it is, doesn't take any crap from anybody, and I watched her show for years. It was an honor to meet her today and get to talk to her. So, Richard Allen walked into court. Now there's a theme, definitely a theme. Again, with a purple stripe shirt. I think his defense team likes the color purple because he's in purple quite a bit. Purple striped shirt, khaki pants, glasses on his head. Did not look happy right from the start when he walked in. Sat down, didn't really look at a whole lot of people, and that was it. No, Nancy got there right, I would say about a half an hour before the doors opened, and yeah, she did wait in line with us. She met up with her friend, Susan Hendrick, who waits in line with us all the time, who I've gotten to talk to and know, and beautiful, beautiful people. Beautiful. Yes. Yes, it was. So Baldwin, before we got in the courtroom, we line up outside the courtroom, and Baldwin was out there and he was pacing. And I've seen this with him a lot. He will pace in the courtroom. He will pace outside the courtroom. He's a pacer. So when we go into the courtroom, you have the defense table to the right of the door. So if I'm looking this way, the door is on my right. You got Judge go way up front. The jury is right off the door. Then you have the defense table, and Richard Allen actually sits on the left-hand side, right next to the prosecutors. Then you have there's an aisleway, and you have seats on either side. The right side is where Richard Allen's family sits. The left side is where Abby and Libby's family sit. Okay? The Allen family, I believe, has 6 seats that are reserved for them. Yes. And then there's 3 seats that are reserved for media. If media does not take those 3 seats, they let more people in from the general public. Well, today, one of the individuals sat in one of those seats, and a member from the defense team came and was very, very rude to her. Told her she could not sit there. Now, as part of the galley, I call it, the observers of this, we have always tried to treat Kathy with respect and her family. So for this to happen, this was unnerving. And there was some contention in the courtroom after that. I can tell you that. This individual was told to get up and move and to leave the courtroom if there was no other seats available. Greeno, being Greeno, this is what set it off. You're not family, get out of this row. That's what set it off. Greeno looked at Bob Mata and said, and this woman, and pointed to Bob Mata and said, he's not family either. And we were told he is the advocate for the family. And Greeno's response was, he's a liar. And Bob turned around and said, how am I a liar? And Greeno said, Richard Allen is guilty. Very tense, uncomfortable situation all around, but warranted in the way that this individual from the defense team treated this individual. And it was all because this individual is very close to the Patty family, and Kathy Allen did not want her sitting in that row. Because of this, court started late. We started 10 minutes late because the bailiffs and the officers in the court had to go talk to the judge. And because of this, the judge made the decision that if those 3 seats were not reserved for media, or that were reserved for media and they were not filled, that the general public could take those seats. So this individual did end up sitting in that row with the family, along with a couple other people that were able to get into the courtroom because those seats were open. So yes, circus inside, circus outside. So like I said, 9:10 court started. Logistical issues. Judge had to talk to security because of this. Immediately at 9:10, we get in there, judge says, prosecution, you ready? Defense, you ready? And it's a sidebar with the judge right away. per the prosecutor's request. Don't know what it was about. They play the white noise and they just talk. During this time, an Allen family member made a snide remark about wannabe journalists, meaning YouTubers, not actually being media, which prompted another snide remark from Greeno, and no further remarks were made. A complaint was made. An officer did come and talk to Greeno, and that was the end of it. So, just want everybody to know that all the family seats for the Allens were taken today. Every single seat for Abby and Libby's family was taken today by their family members. I know that some people have said that they were going to get a seat with the family. I don't know how that's going to work because they were all taken. Just saying. 9:25, the sidebar ended. So it was a very long sidebar. They brought the jury in at 9:26, and because the jury had access to their phones and were able to make contact with their families, they had to do the jury oath again, which is very common. Basically, she asks, have you talked to anybody about this case? Have you looked up any information about this case? You know, all that. Anything to do with if anybody's given them information or they've researched this case. The answers are always no, and we move on. First witness of the day, and the only witness I saw today, was Monica Walla. You may remember her. She's testified before for the defense, but today she's testifying for the prosecution. So she is a clinical psychologist. She has a doctorate in psychology. Talked about her education. She's licensed as a clinical psychologist. And when they're doing these experts, they always have them provide their resume. And it's actually put into evidence, which is kind of neat. That's the first time I'm seeing this happen, where with an expert witness, they actually make them provide a resume and put it into evidence. And the jurors get a copy of that resume each and every time. So they go into her history. 2022 to 2023, she was at the Indiana Department of Corrections. She was the lead psychologist. She actually works for a company called Centurion, which is a contractor. And she only served at this one facility, which was Westville. They all also called it WCU. She takes only the serious cases. And it's for the incarcerated individuals. She provided services for Richard Allen for mental health. And she just provided those services. No one else provided any actual services to him. She says that she handwrites notes and then has to enter them into a program on the computer. And she does that after her appointment is over. She met Richard Allen in what is called an A-pod cubicle. And in the A-pod cubicle, there's a partition. She sits on one side, he sits on the other. This is a secure cubicle, and when he's inside the cubicle, he is not shackled. But he is shackled when they transport him. She said that she's got regular reports, and then she may have addendum report if she sees him more than once a day on the same day. So her first visit with him would be her initial report. And then if she has to go see him a second time or a third time, she would write an addendum to that initial report. Prosecutor provided her with a binder, and it was thick. It was a thick binder. These are documents from her meetings with Richard Allen. So, November 2022 started seeing Richard Allen. And then they started going into each one of these incidents. Um, 4/5/2022. She gets his patient name, his date of birth, visit type. She decides that she's going to see him daily. Reason why she's seeing him is he's on suicide watch. And then when they're on that watch, there's different levels. So there's close observation. Let me take my glasses off to read this. No one at all times watch. Okay, so at times he's got to be watched constantly. And then other times he only has to be watched or checked on every 15 minutes. And each officer that checks on him makes a log. So they make entries on the logs. And she stated that that was changed on 4/4/24 because he was no longer on suicide watch. Remained for a month. December 2022, released from suicide watch, seen one time a week. Solitary confinement. Changed from closed to contact. Stay consistently versus being there. Take in turn to be constant, not in imminent danger. Meaning this is the 15-minute watch if he needed it. There's a note confessing to charges. Explains personal property to him. They monitor him everywhere, in the shower, in the toilet. They provide him with books, documents, tablets. And the only things that he didn't get were visits with Kathy. And I think that was it. in the beginning. He makes his decision about meals, but he cannot have any utensils when he's on suicide watch. He's housed as a pretrial detainee, advised early to not discuss his case with anyone. She stated that Richard is intelligent. She did an assessment to learn about his background, good communication at times. And then we have 4/5/2023. Made statement. Now this is where we get in the confessions, guys. So, made statement. I killed Abby and Libby. I'm sorry. He was tearful. I committed this on my own. Made sure they were dead because he didn't want them to be alone. Victims were deceased? Yes. Knew his intentions were sexual in nature. Thought they were 18 or 19. He is a selfish person. He has been all his life. He took their lives to preserve his own. Wanted to apologize to family and go back and change his actions. That's the first one we got. There's some big information in there. He's been selfish all of his life. Took their lives to preserve his own. Crazy. Made sure they were dead. That's some pretty big statements right there. And this isn't even the biggest one of all. Stated that he essayed his sister, read a lot of naughty magazines, and this is when his problems began. Drinking alcohol. He is an alcoholic. That was stated by the psychiatrist. And then there's things that I wrote that I'm not going to read because I didn't get all of it because it was hard to hear this doctor. But I still got a lot. He took God into his heart. March 23rd, 2023. He wishes everyone would find God before dying. He wanted to give Bibles to the families, to Abby and Libby, or whoever would want it, and hoped it would help. Admitted remorse. He would go back and change his actions. Wants to see his family and appreciate the sunlight again. But then on the other hand, he's happier than ever been in this terrible place. He's new at this point, observed, asked for chaplain, wanted Bible, and he slept with his Bible. They wanted to know what some of his characteristics were. She said, making risk factors, impressions, he's calm, bizarre, smiles, he's matter of fact, and she mentioned memory loss issues. He drank toilet water. Running water doesn't matter. Not eating. Odd behavior Monday after attorney visit. Manipulative. These are all things that she is describing him as. First time confessing, don't, and I don't know what that word is, aware, making statement. Oh, was he aware? Was he aware that he made a confession? Yes. To the warden? Yes. Appearance without limits. Eye contact. Normal. Intense staring and then looking away. He's cooperative and then all of a sudden he's uncooperative. His emotions are up and down. He goes on tangents and sometimes never returns from those tangents, meaning going back to normal. He has hallucinations or delusions. She's actively listening to him. He's got anxiety and depression. This improved. The suicidal improved, and he became more cooperative. So they asked her what kind of work of meaningful health concerns were you going to work with him on? And she said depression and anxiety. And the plan was to give him some items when he was good and behaved himself, that they would give him some items that he didn't have. May 2nd, 2022. She had her daily visit with RA. He complained they always meet at the same place. He was gentle and noticed same stuff. Made statements of Abby and Libby. I killed Abby and Libby. I'll kill everyone. Mentions World War III. Then asks, is it okay to kill myself? But I don't want to die. Climbs on the sink. If I kill myself, I kill family and best friend. Not going to kill himself. I am a coward. Then we get into the feces. Told he didn't make sense. He says, I know. He had a difficulty clarifying info, not clear. What expectations are, and I didn't catch the word medication, and I didn't catch the answer, but she did say he did want to die. She obtained a tablet for him so he could contact his wife. He randomly asked about drugs. She said that he had improved, his diagnosis not be assigned in remission, but she thought that he was in a psychosis for about a month and then returned to normal. He didn't understand the expectations. She told him, your expectations are to eat, shower, stay active, and behave. And then I have opportunity to leave all. He won't really kill himself. And at this time he was on constant watch. The tablet that he received for communication with his wife, he received it quicker than any other inmate. He broke the tablet, and normally they have to pay to get a new one. They just replaced his. Let's see here. Okay, then she wrote addendum for that day. Diagnosis, and it took me a while to figure out what this is, and I need to look these up to know exactly what they are. Periodic psychotic disorder, brief psychotic disorder, one or more delusions, disorganized, speech impaired, I think she said, but I'm not sure. And she mentioned schizophrenia. This was from April to May. This is the big one. This is the one we've been waiting for. May 3rd, 2023. And I'm going to get on my phone because I know that I missed some stuff on this. And I asked one of the reporters to send me it because she said she got it all. So he wanted to call Kathy. There was no answer. He said on February 13th, he went and saw his parents that morning. They wanted him to go out and eat, and he didn't go. Instead, he went and got a 6-pack of beer. He drank 3 of them. He bundled up and went to the trails. He saw the girls on the trail. He followed them across the bridge. Mentioned doing something with his gun. That's how the cartridge, he thought that's how the cartridge got down there. Ordered the girls down the hill. Was going to grape, you know what word, letter to take off them. But didn't because he saw a van coming down the private drive. So he forced the girls to cross the creek, cut their necks, made sure they were dead, covered their bodies with the branches, and stayed off the trails to exit, to not be seen. Continued to live his life normally. was appearing normal at time of confession, appeared to be something after he gave that statement. Mellowed. So, Jill, this is where I need your help. I hope you're still in chat, my dear. When you get to the private drive, was the gate at that time when Kay or Brad wasn't home, was it closed? Is my first question. Second question, what was Brad driving at that time? Because everybody on Facebook has been asking, who was that coming down the private drive? My thought is it was Brad Weber. And after what I just learned, I would have to say I was right. Because we just found out that in the afternoon session that Brad Weber testified after Dr. Walla was finished. Exactly. The gate might have been pushed. I know that Kay was out of town and that Brad was watching the house. In previous live streams that I've done and I've gotten to know Jill said that Brad came home from work between 3 and 3:30. And it was not locked. Okay, that's good to know. This is the confession where Nick McClelland said he gave specific information that only the killer would know. Yeah, Jill, do you know was Brad driving a white van during that time? That's my other question. Yes, I believe he was driving a white van. Because if you look at my notes here, I've got this marked and I have Brad Weber driving white van. And then to know that Brad Weber testified today after Dr. Walla, that's going to be huge. I can't wait to get my friend's notes on that one. That's huge. So basically, he stated that he followed the girls across the bridge, forced them down the hills, was going to SA them there, but was interrupted when he heard Brad Weber driving down the private drive. And before Brad could get to where he was going, as of right this second, I'm saying this might change later. Before Brad could see him, he made the girls cross the creek and killed them. and made sure they were dead. And this is why I'm asking Jill the questions. Everyone, including the defense, is stating that it could have been another individual that came down the private drive, picked the girls up, and took them away, and then brought them back later that morning. Okay. What was his demeanor like after he stated this? He was relieved. Um, Concerns about the property, safety concerns, discussed transfer, wanted wife to know he loved her, wouldn't kill himself to even though or wouldn't kill himself due to being a coward. He wants his property back. Don't know what it was. Odd things, didn't want to miss Easter. And he had paranoia. No psychotic symptoms. Well organized. This is how she's describing him. Medication change. Allowed regular stuff. Can be on suicide watch. Can have mattress, blanket, and traditional sheets. May 5th. Every 6 months, there's a review of his medical plan. Working on anxiety and depression. Number 1, gold safety. Number 2, mental health targeting depression and anxiety. Back to 15-minute checks. So these were the things that she wanted to work with him on. 5-9. I just want to sign my confession. She stated, you need to discuss it with an attorney. He had thoughts of self-harm. Described his last meal. Thought it would help others. Wanted to get a job at the jail. Stated he would be better off dead. And was thinking about self-harm again. She says no psychotic symptoms. Mid-impaired judgment. Talk about killing himself. He was never tracked patient, compliant with meds. 5-10. Issues with not using phone, tablet broken. He wants to connect with his wife. She left the room and he called his wife. She came back in and he wanted to call back and tell her, I did it. She answered, heard him, wanted to know if his wife and family loved him, wanted to know if he was going to get the electric chair, told the wife he would probably have to stay in prison. Then he said, I didn't do everything I said, but I killed Abby and Libby. So this is her observations of him with Kathy. Pleasant, affectionate, seemed okay. He was calm. He didn't cry. No psychosis. Then we go to 5/11/23. He wanted to have closure to the family. He wanted to see his wife. Doesn't know what closure looks like for him. Can't remember dates. Then we go to 8/3/23. I want to go to heaven. I want to talk to my wife and see my family. I don't feel well. I think I'm having a heart attack. So he's I think it says not rational anymore. Don't know if I go to heaven. That was a big question of his. I need to let my wife go, was another statement he made that day. Then we went on break and we came back. What was his physical appearance in 2022 versus now? Well, his weight was 180 pounds, all positive at first, but then he refused to eat his meals and would not exercise. And then he turned around and said he was taking care of himself by exercising and trying to lose weight. So basically, what she was saying is that he himself was trying to exercise on his own in his cell and he was trying to lose weight. So therefore, he was not eating properly. She said if you miss 4 meals, they have to report it. He was very dissatisfied not losing the weight, and he was exercising on his own. November 10th, 2022. Purpose of the mental health visit. He would refuse to see her, thought he was a burden. He was confused who to communicate with. She said, only speak to your attorney. Unless it's a mental health issue, then you would request help from me. April 7th, 2023. After first confession, did Mr. Allen make reference to being aware he confessed? He had. She told him this was not in his best interest and to talk to his attorney. At this time, he was also confessing to others. She used the words that he was purposely fanning, and then she said faking he didn't plead guilty in formal manner, not being safe, had memory loss. 4/10/2023. He was outside of his cell when she saw him. Or she was outside. She was outside of his cell when she was observing him. His back was against the wall. He was naked. It was a concerning condition of the cell. He was talking to his penis. admitting to various, and I put question mark because I couldn't hear that part. There were papers strewn all over cell discovery papers. So he received discovery papers around this time that he started confessing. Or no, around this time. He started confessing in April. The warden did not want the inmate companions any longer to watch him. So they changed to officers. And the reason that they did this is because of the discovery. They did not want the other inmates seeing any of his documents from his lawyers or the discovery. So from then on, because he was throwing these papers all over, he only had actual officers watch him. They asked, was there a big shift in behavior? She said yes, especially after he received the discovery. 4/12/23, she was outside his cell again. He was banging. He was yanking his wanky. She checked the camera and he was naked, touching genitals. He refused to leave the rec area. He was doing it to get something. He was acting this way because he wanted something. But she didn't know what it was. 4/13/23, escalating behavior, laying in feces. Tried to talk to him, offer meds. He did not qualify for emergent injection. He was on constant watch. She thought he was having an emotional breakdown. He was exaggerating, deteriorating, no sleep. She said he went hours and only had sporadic sleep. And we all know that when you don't sleep, your mind and body don't act right. She was concerned about him faking or exaggerating. But at this point, she said it was severe enough that it didn't matter. Even if he was faking it, something had to be done because he was deteriorating. 4/17/23. There was a greasy, dirty window in his cell. He had his eyes closed and his palm raised. Looked like he was praying. He wanted to talk. He wanted to come out of his cell and finally talk to her. He was acting bizarre and then starts acting right. So then they start talking about this psychosis and this diagnosis. And they asked her, with your licensing and everything, can you diagnose a person? And she said, yes, I can. But she would need more information to diagnose him as psychotic. She said his eyes were closed and he kept talking about repeated nightmares or dreams. He said more people died due to his selfishness. He was separated from reality, go back to make things right. And they said, do you believe he was sharing his fears and concerns? She said, yes. Wish I would have medical illness that would explain what is going on with me. Wondered or had a dream that he faked his death and the world ended. Activated nuclear war and destroyed Earth. He received meds on 4/4/23. After that, there was an improvement. He was still deprived of sleep and paranoia. Watching to see if it will take a month on the meds to help, but they were in the middle of the process. 4/21/23, bizarre behavior, sexual. 4/25/23, struggling longer. And she said he had never struggled like this this long in the past. He thought I wanted to have in-person visit. Oh, he wanted to have an in-person visit. So all of a sudden it's like he was acting bizarre, and then he snapped to when he was good, and he wanted a visit with her. What he wanted from that visit was a transfer out of that facility. She advocated for him to have visits with his wife. Now, it says WCU inmates do not get in-person visits, especially on multiple occasions. So these are things that they did just for him. 4/28/2023, lying naked, can't shower. He was mad because he couldn't shower. It wasn't shower day, and there was a smell coming from the cell. She was positive he was not in the right condition to come meet her. Again, he talks about being selfish. The visit with his wife is very important to him. She's trying to motivate him to take care of himself. He's talking about the toilet water needs to be turned on. They will shut the toilet water off if he is flooding his cell for a short period of time. It's not stating that he was deprived of food and water as punishment because they gave him food and water. They just didn't let him have any water in his toilet because he was flooding his cell. Not psychotic. She called it gamey. Lack of motivation of self-care. And that she was trying to reinforce a behavioral motive. Then there was a sidebar due to the defense's request. So this is where the defense starts questioning this witness. Now you have to remember, in prior hearings, Dr. Walla testified for the defense. So they knew a lot of things about her. And boy, were they going to use it against her today. Talked about her education. When did you become a psychologist? 2018. Are there any specialized areas in this field? No. Why did the prosecution not ask you where you're currently working? You're not with the DOC. Your resume says 2017 to present that you still work for them. She said, I did not update it. She said she's working at another facility through Wexlin and Centurion, which are these third-party companies that she works for and then gets jobs at other places. Defense says not with DOC, so he's going to hammer on this. Objection. Asked and answered. Sustained. You're familiar with this case. You have other familiarities with this case, don't you? And she says, sure. You were following this case. She says, yes. On social media, watching podcasts, yes. You were seeking information on this case before treating Richard Allen. She said, yes. Your activity was not related to Richard Allen at that time. Yes. Objection. They approached the bench. Got more interested in the case after Richard Allen came on. In fact, went to the database to research it. She said yes. He says, wasn't that a violation of your DOC contract? Did investigation. Public doesn't have any right. Several podcasters that she listened to. Snay. Gray Hughes. True Crime Investigates. Defense Daddies. Criminality. Went into online chat rooms. Was in Facebook groups. She contributed to conversations in those Facebook groups. Once again, he says, isn't this a violation of your guidelines of your contract? Yes. After RA arrest, you became more interested. She said, sure. You used time to follow this content. She said, yes. And after this was all found out, you shut down those accounts. And she said, I did. There's lots of information regarding this case, isn't there? She said, yeah. Content from all over the world. She said, there is. It does. Never. And then they said, did you ever disclose to your employer your interest in this case? And she said, yes. And then he said, would it help to refresh your recollection if you looked at your January 6th, 2024 statement? So she looked at it, and he said, did you report following this case? Or you said no. Conversations had never, and then this was her answer. Conversations with her superiors, but there was never a formal report. Um, she stated that she was thinking of it a different way, and that's why she answered the question as no. Asked her, would you stop following the case once treating Richard Richard Allen if she could do it again? She said probably. He said you shared thoughts with Richard Allen about this case. She said sometimes. He said his mental health in November 2022 was depressed and anxious. Did you do I think it's called a reception diagnostic assessment, but then I thought he said RDC, so I'm not sure if that's right or not. Because I was having a hard time hearing the questions. So did you review the RDC assessment while conducting your own assessment and gathering information to see if you saw the same things? And she said she is always assessing while talking. There's no testing, no clinical testing, no exam done, because it's hard to do at the DOC. She said that she knew he was diagnosed with depression or they asked, did you know he was diagnosed with depression disorder before coming to jail? She said she just had general information from his history. So he said, you had part of his history. And she said, yes. May not be noted in DOC system though. Taking meds would stabilize him. This is when they said, did you know that he had dependent personality syndrome? No. Did you realize that later he could have characteristics for this? She said, yes. They said, this means being away from his wife. Yes. And then, was he fragile? Yes. Accused killing 2 girls? Yes. Saw circumstances? She said, yes. 30 days, never got out. She said that was accurate. And he said, and the lights in the cell were on at all the time. And she said, I do. At least that's what I heard. Did he say he was a burden on someone? Yes, but I think, and I didn't hear the rest of it. Did he have cameras on 24/7? Yes. All inmates, and I didn't hear it, and she said, right. There's no privacy when he's in the cell. She says, right. Someone has control over that cell. Yes. Um, she said, I would be in the control room and I could see the screen and look at the video. And he said, well, did you do that? And she said, I did. She said, I may have told you I didn't look at videos. And he said the cell he was in was the most secure in the facility. And she said, sure. And he said it was also the more restruct, restrictive. She said, sure. Then he was asking her about the infirmary. And she said she cannot make a decision to put somebody in the infirmary. Central office decides this. He says, but they have larger cells there. And she said, yes. And they have bathrooms, actual bathrooms in the cell. And she said, yes. She said, but the infirmary is not for mental health. And he would not be able to mingle with others. They asked him what his classification for mental health was, because there's letters for the classification. He is a D. And he said, there's a total of 5 classifications. And she said, yes. The least being A, and the most E being severe. And she said, yes. Richard Allen had 4 out of 5. That's why he was classified as a D. They met one time a week. And that was for his suicidal observation. And there was a sheet that she filled out. There wasn't a day that he went without a visit. And it was only her for a long time. And then it was opened up to others. And they approached the bench. And we went on lunch. Now, like I said, after lunch, I couldn't get in. And the defense was still cross-examining her. And I'm assuming this went on for quite a while. But now I'm hearing that Brad Weber did testify after she was done on the stand. So I will get you all of those details, and I will make sure that I provide them tomorrow. What is going to happen tomorrow? Tomorrow, I'm going to sleep here tonight at the house, and I will be able to get up and go to Delphi and be there by 6:30, so that I'm ready when the doors open at 8 and go in at 9 and hopefully get into both sessions. And then what I'll be doing, I received my cot with a tent over it. So I'm assuming that once we get out of court tomorrow, I'm going to have to turn around and get right back in line and spend the night and then go through all court all day Friday. Linda says, I look for you every day, Marv. Well, I'm here. Let's see. You read Susan's book. It's wonderful. I haven't had a chance. Those 6 beers. Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Prison. Let's see here. I am just mind blown how there are people who still believe RA is innocent and is being framed by law enforcement. I agree with you. Now, I have said up until today, this is a circumstantial case. So what I'm going to be working on the next few nights, well, not tonight, but tomorrow night, and probably Friday night, I'm going to be working on looking at all of my notes and putting a timeline together based off of the testimony. Not what we knew or thought we knew, but based on the testimony. And I will be providing that to you this weekend. Let's see here. So that is what that big rant was about. Yes. No, I have not seen Doug Carter there yet. We see everybody but Doug Carter. Love that comment. And I love this one too. YouTubers work as hard as journalists and our media. I agree. If it wasn't for those of us covering this case, you wouldn't get the details that we can catch. We can't catch all of them. We're not super writers. They do talk fast. So even today with Dr. Walla, there were things that I missed, but I made sure to get the most important stuff, you know, and we're doing the best we can to provide all of you with that information. Whereas the mainstream media, they only give you the hit pieces, right? They don't give you the details that we're trying to give you. So you're learning more about this trial from us than the mainstream media. You know, and there's individuals out there that are saying, you know, they're attending the trial and they show up and they're there for one session one day and one session the next day and then don't show up. However, you have those of us who are committed to this, and the only time we're not there is if we are so tired we cannot stand anymore, we're sick, or we could not make it into the session because there was too many people in front of us. Our community has very hardworking folks that have dedicated their lives to the case. Like them or hate them on both ends of the spectrum, most of them aren't grifting, etc. Exactly. I have asked for donations, and it is specifically for my tent, food, gas, to cover my expenses while I'm away from home here in Indiana. And believe me, I'm using that money that's been donated for all of those things. I got the tent, and I'm driving a half an hour one way each day. So it's an hour a day back and forth. Did Richard ever say in the police interviews what happened to his 2017 phone? No, he did not. This is a good question. Now we got to take this with a grain of salt because we don't know if this part is true or not. But yesterday he did mention that he touched his daughter. She has not been to court at all for any of the hearings or for this trial. I do know that she is a witness for the defense. So will they call her and will we actually hear from her? We'll have to wait and see. Thank you so much, Green Tiger, for the $1.99. I truly appreciate it. He confessed as to why. And that was to grape them. Take the first letter off. You know what I'm talking about. No, he is not. And he's not shackled or handcuffed when he comes into the courtroom either. But that is why they have strict procedures and processes, okay? When Richard Allen is being moved from the cell downstairs in the basement up to the courtroom, nobody can be outside of that courtroom. That floor has to be cleared. And that is why every day for lunch, we have to leave the courtroom and run down to the first floor and get back in line. Once they have him and the jury in the jury room, then they will allow us to go up and wait on the third floor. As far as we know, she's sitting there, you know. None of us truly know what Kathy was thinking. I think that after his interrogations and the fact that they were telling her that his bullet was found at the crime scene, she did have some doubt. Now, did that continue to today? I don't know. That was freaky. That was very freaky. Knowing that the daughter's senior pictures were taken on that bridge. Yes. Hey, Randy, it was great seeing you today. I'm glad you popped into the courthouse and we can chat. I think tensions are really high on that side for Richard Allen. He has not been looking happy. He's been doing a lot of this. Okay. His family is stressed. They are giving out information as to why they believe this man killed these two girls. And if you had to look at this and hear this stuff, you'd probably be upset too. Allen is an alcoholic when he's not in jail or prison for this crime. Yes. And I'm glad you pointed that out, Brandon. Detox from alcohol will do the weight loss and the disheveled look and mess with his mind, along with not sleeping and eating properly. I agree 100% with you. We want justice. We want the right person. After hearing Richard Allen's voice yesterday for the first time in the interrogation videos, and then hearing these confessions today, especially the one where he gives very specific detail as to what he did, and then going back and looking at all the circumstantial evidence, the times, the car, when the witnesses saw him, I do believe there is a case to convict him now without reasonable doubt. Now, that might just get even stronger after we listen to Brad Weber's testimony from this afternoon. I don't know what it was said. So, like I said, my hope and faith was restored today. And I will tell you this, when Nancy Grace was outside standing with us, she said the prosecution better bring it today with those confessions or Richard Allen will walk. And it's the same thing I was thinking. Just because there's no DNA, there's no strong evidence pointing to him. We've got the bullet and the confessions. Alexa says, I hope we get justice for those girls. I do too. Scott says he slipped up. I like that he made confessions before his psychosis. As we know, people will challenge his mental health. Absolutely. Randy says those who did naughty things are bad things are on the naughty list book. Okay. And we got to keep that in mind because Christmas is coming. They wanted him talking. A lot of hellos to each of you on the Rewind crew. Thank you, Love to Hunt. Let's see here. He made confessions after his psychosis too. But do you remember me telling you that she thought he was faking it a lot of time because he wanted two things? He wanted to visit his wife and he wanted to be transferred out of there. What is one of the best ways to get transferred out of a prison? Act insane and crazy. But it backfired on him. And it backfired on him because she could see that he was doing it on purpose and he was faking it. Okay, so there you go. There's some news. Oh, it's 6:17, so I'm sure they're out of court. The white van guy said that RA's account of him driving was true. Kay was out of town that day and Brad was watching his parents' home. The gate might have been pushed. And they're not locked. Brad drives a white van. Yes, I believe he was driving a white van. Jill would know because Jill is Brad's cousin. And people were talking about a white van. Now we know why. I got chills down my spine. Those are details not anyone would know. Exactly. Hello to everybody coming in. Everyone's saying a van in the woods come on. Brad's drive is right there, and how would they take them to a second location? But that is part of the defense's theory, is that more than one person was involved and a car drove down the private drive, picked the girls up and took them to another location, and then somehow got these girls back into the north side, not the south side by the private drive, the north side on Ron Logan's property, and placed them there. Okay. Ari confession that he decided not to SA because they were too young. No, it wasn't that. He actually thought they were older than they were. He thought they were 18 or 19. And then in another statement, he said, I thought they could be 11. White van was a vehicle he drove for work. That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, no, actually, he thought they were 18 or 19. And then on the other spectrum, he thought they could be 11. If Brad came home at 2:30, he can't get them in a car and the phone across the creek in 2 minutes. Great job, see through, remembering the times in the testimony. We will be following up on that more this weekend. Also, this weekend, I need to look at a couple videos, but I think I have some videos that will help clear up the bullet being cycled. I always believed he saw Abby as a little girl and Libby more as a woman. That could be, and maybe that's why he felt more remorse for killing Abby. I don't know. I don't know what he wanted for his last meal, but he told her that he knew what he wanted. His attorney and the DA should have been in court with Alan after he confessed to the warden. In my opinion, that should have happened. I absolutely agree with you. Why didn't his attorneys let him confess and save the taxpayers' money, the families from all of this hurt? Yeah, in the end it didn't matter what age he thought they were because he took the opportunity to try to essay them and then killed them. Teresa the Troll, absolutely. This is insane. Prayers for those families. Those families need our love and support. Myself and another individual talked to Anna Williams today. And Anna and Carrie, understandably, have not liked the idea that we are out there camping every night to get in the courtroom. They thought it was sickening and ridiculous. And today we let Anna know that the majority of the people that are camping out overnight to get in are the people that love and support the families. And not only do we want to get the information out to everyone, but we want to be there for the families when they need that support. And if we're all there early and get in line and there's only 24 spots, that means there's only maybe a few of the bad people that like to harass the family, even in the courtroom, and get thrown out. And it's less of a chance of those bad people coming in that courtroom, and that they are surrounded by people who care about them and love them and want to honor these girls and see justice for the girls and for the families. And I think for the first time, she understood our actions because she's like, I didn't think of that. I'm so happy that you are here to help support us." And I just said to her, "We always have your back." Whether they understand our actions or not, you know, I can understand why both mothers were upset. But it is out of a place of love for the families and the girls that we're doing the things we're doing. Yeah, I agree with you there. I thought the same thing, Alexa. I thought, did his attorneys tell him to act bizarre and psychotic and everything to try to get him to be moved out of that prison? It makes sense with how many times they were talking about the safekeeping order and all of that. There needs to be an explanation of the girl's clothing to remove juror doubt. I think that's going to come in the closing. I think that's going to come in the closing statement, and it will. I'm hoping that Nick McClelland addresses this. But maybe a little birdie can drop a little note to him and say, "You need to address this." We'll see. Yeah, so if he didn't miss 4 meals, he was doing it on purpose. Absolutely. That's okay, Misty Free Spirit. Thanks for being here. Walking back to the creek after being disturbed from that direction, not cleaning up while at the creek, etc. Do you think they could have been dropped on way over? I think what could have actually happened, you guys, is this. He puts the clothes in the water on the south side where or on the north side where he is and where the girls are. But the current is running so fast, it pushes them to the south side because it said they were hung up on twigs and sticks and rocks. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, how convenient to have memory loss. Exactly. Maybe made to carry them over, but Libby's shoes had Abby's blood on them, so it seems hard to believe. Right, which means those clothes had to have been on the north side before they were put in the creek. And the jeans had sand, so they climbed out of the creek in their jeans. More than likely, yes. But we don't know for sure. You're good, Kate. Yeah, I think they need to explain that, definitely. Okay, the part that the killer only knew was this. He followed the girls across the bridge. He forced them down the hills. He was going to grape take the G off, and you know what word YouTube won't let me say. But he was interrupted when a white van came traveling down the private driveway. So he forced the girls across the creek and killed them, and did not leave until he was sure they were dead. Now, Jill in our group here is the cousin of Brad Weber, whose mother owned the house at the end of the private drive, who would have been coming home at that time from work and used a white van for work. And we know that Brad Weber testified after Dr. Walla was done today. We did, I mean, it's always been a theory or rumor, but we know for sure now that that did happen. Yeah. Necessary says, what I've been telling everyone for months now. Do you think his attorney told him to act that crazy to void the initial confession? Otherwise, it seemed like he would have had the feces issues at work or home in times of intense stress in the past. I agree. Oh, cool. So if you go look at Fig Solves, is it on his community page? There's a picture of the white van and Brad. This could actually, you could be right on this, Alexa. It was a way to punish himself. I would have to agree with you, Laura. She's allowed a hobby and never knew he was going to be a patient. And when he became a patient, she said that she did speak to her superiors, but a written formal document was not completed. No, they were not. Gibbo says, let's get the likes up. Spread Marv's live. Exactly. Get this information out there. Andrea has added the links if you would like to make a donation. Let's see here. Yes, we know this is a fact. Everyone likes, subscribe, and share. No, Doug Carter has not been in court. I have seen Shane Evans. Yes, I think the tentacles was the Anthony Shots account, leading to a few CSAM rings being closed down, but it's the biggest case in Indiana, and I don't think they're done yet. We have not received a ruling on this yet, so we don't know what this information is, but as soon as it comes out, I will let you know. Supposed to storm tomorrow. Well, if it storms, I'll be ready because I have my tent. Okay. If there is anybody who wants to learn about Delphi and the area and the bridge and all that area, I'm going to try to put it together as Sunday. Not this Sunday, but I'm thinking the following Sunday where we can all meet up and I can show you where things are. The fact that you are dedicated to being there also shows support for the family. I love that. Absolutely. Thankful for YouTubers as yourself. Some other YouTubers are lying or the media isn't reporting all the details. I absolutely agree with that. Thank you so much for your dedication. Yes, this is big. Alan's wife saying to Richard, I didn't know you were on the bridge. You told me you went to the trail was huge. How can I donate? Andrea, can you drop the links for my Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal again? I haven't heard anything on this one. I think a bullet was ejected on into the creek. Could be. Thank you for keeping us informed. Thank you, Alexa. I appreciate the donation. Someone asked me on a live that a juror's trying to get a witness and judge remove them. Have you heard that, Marv? No, I have not heard anything about that. They're there, squeaky wheel. That's the part that angers all of us. The cameras are in the courtroom. She could have had somebody control it and put a feed out. And even if she didn't want it shown on television, she could drop the audio to the testimony so that everybody could hear it for themselves. Yeah, I don't believe that for a minute. I think he was acting erratic because he wanted to see his wife, for one, and he wanted to be transferred out of that facility. Lisa, you can donate right here through a super chat or a super sticker. Can you give me some examples so I can look into that? Laura M, thank you for becoming a member. Yeah, I think he was having some major alcohol withdrawal. Nope, you're good. You're not blocked. I know. If he would have never if he would have never called the police department and said that he had been on the trail that day, he probably would have been considered someone who committed the perfect murder because they would have never found him. No, they have not played the call with Kathy yet, unless they did it in court this afternoon, but I'll get those notes tomorrow. State definitely stepped it up today. So Roxy says Brad Weber said that he got home at 2:30 that day in a white van. I would have to agree with you just because of the way that he thinks. Now that I got to know him a little bit more through the testimony and stuff, knowing that he was a major alcoholic, knowing that he had depression and anxiety, knowing that his best friend, who was Kathy's brother, had died, I think you're right. Thanks, Curious. No evidence of anything under the bridge. That's what I'm thinking. He thought if he could act crazy enough, they would send him to a mental hospital. Okay. Oh, I'll get in. Believe me, in the morning I'll get in and I'll try. I got stuck in the middle of the courtroom today and couldn't get to the door in order to sprint down the stairs fast enough and get in line and be one of the first 24 people. I'll do a better job tomorrow. God does bring all things to light. Grab it. I'm actually going to probably talk about that this weekend. When will I be going live next? Probably tomorrow night from the courthouse again. Because I won't be leaving. All right, everybody. I love you. Amber, thank you so much. Thank you for your hard work, Marv. We really appreciate you over here in the UK. Love Diane and Amber. You guys are the best. No, we never did find out who Kevin and Chris are. But all right, everyone, I am going to call it a night. I need some rest and sleep. I need to eat something real quick and go to sleep. And call home and just check to see how the boys are doing and make sure everything's okay. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all of your donations, all of our new subscribers, all of the new members. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Have a great night. Always support these families. And remember, justice matters for Abby and Libby. Have a good night. Bye. Thank you for watching Beyond the Evidence. Today, I gave you my own opinions and analysis. but I always encourage you to do your own research and form your own conclusions. If you're interested in true crime and want to join me on this journey of discovery, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of my uploads. If you'd like to support the channel, join our membership, and if you have any suggestions for cases that you want me to cover, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and remember, justice matters. This is Beyond the Evidence, and I'll see you in the next video.